Hello and welcome to this awesome highlight from Crystal Core Radio episode 15. If you guys enjoyed this highlight and you want to catch the entire podcast, the top link in the description will be for you, so you can go check the rest of this Final Fantasy Ultimate tier list. But without further ado, let's dive into why Final Fantasy VI is God tier.
I mean, I feel like my S ranking is more emotional than it is logical. So,
all right. Well, I think that's definitely a good one. All right, board's yours.
Okay. Wow, we've gotten 7 and 12 out. Do we? It sounds like you and I have a pretty easy one.
Okay.
To do. Would you like to go ahead and make 6 our first God tier?
Absolutely. 6 is so important. Why is 6 a God tier for you?
Multiple reasons. Okay. Again, there is that customization piece if you get really into the combat.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of the first times I think I ever played of it. And again, I haven't played every game.
Right.
But it was one of the first times I played a video game where the villain won. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Did that just happen?
And you get such... I see the point in that, like the Kuja. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like that, what is he really evil? Mm-hmm. What are his motivations? And then you get Kefka, and it's just like the Joker from The Dark Knight. You know what I mean? Like just chaos.
He wants to see the world burn just for that absolute sake. His mind's been twisted through like all the Esper experimentation, but he's just... And then I didn't see him as the original villain, right? Like the whole time as I'm playing it, the Empire and the Emperor is bad, etc. Yeah. It's like, and then all of a sudden it's like, I thought like he's just this side character that's just bad and evil, and then he keeps coming back up, and we've seen that kind of that narrative before, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's murdering everybody,
right?
He's
poisoning water.
You're right, men, women, children, like, and it's just he is just so like, and then he wins. He's just going and going and going, and we lose, and then we have to get like, and that whole narrative, I think it's such a real story. In this world, right? Like it's that sometimes like it doesn't, like you're too late. And it's like, it taught me some life lessons. And I just remember going through that story, and just, this was just a defining moment, especially coming from 4. Because we didn't, like at the time, we weren't getting all the Final Fantasies right away. We ended up like, I remember reading about 5, and then all of a sudden 6 came on the scene, and it just was so powerful. The Esper system, the characters themselves, the different ways that all the characters played.
Yeah.
Putting in like them. I was just like, wow, this is really next gen. And even when they started teasing 7, originally they showed 6 characters off in an N64 environment, and thus that will always be ingrained in my mind, because that also then was the big separation in Final Fantasy, the first real big, moment which
is also why 7 blew up, right? The cinematics, the acts. Oh, you saw the commercial. You're like, what is this game?
Exactly. The marketing team behind 7 was just genius, because it caught people on the graphics, and then it hooked them on what this game is, and it brought RPGs into the mainstay. But 6, I think, is by far one of the insults to 6 is that it hasn't really received a remake. When they are doing 7, I get the reason why, but 6, at least with Octopath Traveler's graphics, that needs to happen. That hopefully we'll see that in the future.
God, I would love that. I hate the polish on the PC version.
Oh yeah, because it's just the mobile version, and it hurts me because anyway, yeah.
Okay, real quick, I just want to also shout out 6's music.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
Like
the opera house,
like it's so good, man.
Oh, it's so great. Yeah, that's I think one that we are absolutely in sync on. So the board is mine. Let's see here. Where shall I take it? I want to jump in with one that I think we can all agree, or maybe all agree, and then I don't know. I'm gonna take Lightning Returns, and I'm gonna put that in an F tier. I was driven mad by what they did. Like, I actually started off on a positive with 13. Like, I was like, yeah, it was like, okay, it's a bit linear. Like, okay, you get to Pulse. Like, I enjoyed 13. I would have made some changes. I think 13 too brought in the battle system changes that I wish were actually in the original 13. Like I liked some of the adjustments. I didn't like 13. Well, we'll get in 13.2 in a minute. But then Lightning Returns was just like, if people were like, oh, the character of the story, like, you know, yeah, that was a part of her thing that she lost her personality and things like that. And it's like, why? Why does this have to exist?
Yeah, I haven't even played it.
You skipped it completely?
Yeah.
You probably are better for doing that.
I will say, I think 13 kind of suffers a little bit from doing what it did when it did it. You know what I mean? Because 10 was very linear too, but there were so many things to find and discover that it didn't always feel linear.
Right.
Whereas 13, I think it was a little more in your face, but yeah, you take the reins on Lightning Returns, but I think it does. And obviously I'm not like a Final Fantasy, like what I say goes, but I mean, there's a reason that I didn't play it. So
I think that's important. I think that's an important aspect into the tier itself. So if anybody in chat feels like it should not be an F tier, I will take that into consideration right now. I'm going to turn the board over to Chris because it doesn't sound like he feels like I should move that up out of the F tier slot. So you guys just let me know if you make an argument as to why it should at least be an E tier, but I can't give it anything higher. Is everybody 13? It's Lightning Returns. So we'll do 13. I went ahead and jumped into 13 Lightning Returns because from a boarding perspective, I'm starting to see a theme here.
Let's go G. Oh yes.
Oh, I love it. Yes. All right, cool. I feel confident that we have scored that correctly. Chris, the board is yours.
Yeah, let's get cute. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to give World of Final Fantasy a C.
I completely agree. I like the Pokemon. Like I really like World of Fantasy, World of Final Fantasy.
It's fun. You get to stack your little dudes, and there's a fun little story driving you through too. You know, dealing with your lineage and I don't know. I thought it was a good game. Obviously, I just think it's a C.
It's a good game. I'd like to see, and I think they might have announced a sequel or something like that to it. I'd like to see that explored more visually between like the characters and the chibi. I wish they ultimately just kind of picked on an art style. And I love the nostalgia. Like World of Final Fantasy just drips nostalgia. I love the Pokemon aspect because that's where like I love that collection and that mindset. All in all, like it is a good game. It's a game that I wonder like what they'll do with that, like with that branding in and of itself. And so if they come out with the World of Final Fantasy 2, I'll absolutely play it. But it's, you know,
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think part of it was because they wanted more customization. So they kind of had to have the chibi thing because if they didn't, you were always an L. Yeah. Which means that like limited who you could battle with. Whereas if you could be a little medium chibi, then you could have an L like,
yeah, for the stacking, absolutely.
Monster. But yeah, I agree. I thought the art it could be like a little jarring sometimes when, like, I liked the character models of the two main characters. So just seeing them as little chibis is definitely less cool.
I hope that you really enjoyed that highlight, and I hope that you check out the full podcast. Again, link is in the description. Thanks for being here, and I hope you have a fantastic day, you wonderful, beautiful individual.